Hi, welcome to Plant-Based Living Across the Pond. And let me introduce the amazing Gareth R. Davies. And Gareth helps people to reduce or eliminate their high blood pressure through his no meds method. And you can find out more on his Facebook page, Gareth R. Davies. You can also contact him through the website, healthchangers.net, and check it out on his page, Gareth R. Davies.
Thank you, Jeanne. Let me introduce Jeanne, founder of Weight Loss Advantage, which is a program to help people lose weight without dieting and change their health destiny. She just launched the Pregnancy Advantage for women to get their bodies pregnant ready. And you can check out the website at simplyplantbased.net. Loads of resources, loads of recipes, a couple of programs on there. Go and check it out.
All right. And we have a special guest today. His name is Massimo Leopardi. And did I say that right?
Yes, Leopardi.
Okay. So he is the founder of the Veggie Channel YouTube channel, and you can find out more on his website, veggiechannel.com, which has interviews and cooking and satirical sketches and news reports, instructional video courses, and so much more. And I just got to share with you that this guy started training for diving at the age of 49, okay, and has now competed at world championship levels and racked up quite a few medals. So thank you, Massimo, for being here with us today.
Thank you, Jeanne. Jeanne, did I say correctly?
Jeanne.
Jeanne. Thank you, Jeanne, for the nice introductions. I loved it. Hello, Gareth, as well.
Nice to meet you.
I'm very, very, very pleased to be connected with people around the world. And even if my English might be not very fluent, I'm so glad to be invited in this show.
Well, your English is a lot better than my Italian, just saying. So, okay, global weirding, all right? Geography, just saying, it was never my strong suit. And Gareth, I just looked out like where you are on the world. I mean, I know where Norway is, sort of, like over there, Europe, kind of thing. Wow. Like where you are, like the next step is off the end of the planet. Okay. Like seriously, you're like way up there. The last time we talked in December, you didn't have any snow. So what's going on up on your head?
Let me tell you, Jeanne, it is at last, about 4 days ago, we had some snow. It came down, steadily for the last 4 days. So yesterday and this morning, out doing, a couple of hours each day on skiing, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm loving it, living here. It's getting lighter every day. The weather's nice. And I even heard actually from Massimo's country in Italy, because the slopes are not available to people these days because there's so many people going there, the cross-country skiing has like 30, 40, 50% increased in the mountains there, in the Dolomites, I believe, where they have cross-country tracks. So I saw that article. So cross-country skiing is a great physical workout. It's a lot of fun. You see beautiful, beautiful places, whether you're in Italy or whether in Norway or other places. But yeah, we actually have some snow here after January being the smallest amount of snow to fall in Tromsø for the last 85 years.
Wow.
And people say there's no global warming. It's a problem. Yeah.
Massimo, have you seen any changes where you are?
Well, we've been observing very strange behavior of the weather. Now it's about 5 or maybe 10 years. Let's make an example. Yesterday we had 24 degrees, which is I just checked now on the internet, is 75.2. So it was a spring. So some people went to the beach and have a bath in the sea. Yes. But today is completely cloudy and raining, and temperature is lowering down. So what I think is going to happen is that we have a very all of the sudden the weather changes rapidly. So we have some bits of winter, some bits of spring, and what is bad is the plants don't understand what is the weather like at this moment. We had a lot of flowers yesterday that are going to die today. And also the people, the agricultural people are going crazy because they get their products destroyed because you have sun, they blossom, and all of a sudden they froze. That's the problem. Of course, we noticed the big change. I can tell you, when I was working in Darmstadt, in the operations center of the European Space Agency many years ago, it was the years, the end of the century, actually, 2000, 1999 or something like that. I was in Darmstadt, and my friend working on the geostationary satellite Meteosat, were showing me pictures taken from the Earth, from the sky, from 36,000 kilometers. And they were showing me the movement of the clouds, and these movements were clearly not the same as it was measured 20 or 30 years before from other meteorological satellites. I can show you a picture because they used to take pictures from the sky, and they gave me one of these pictures to me, so I have it on my wall. And it shows clearly that the weather was not an ordinary weather like 20 or 30 years ago.
Well, we definitely are seeing global weirding. And I think, and it's not to say that the planet hasn't changed. Oh my God, we've gone through like tropical times, we've gone through 4 glacial epochs, but I think this is the first time on this planet that it's a man-made cause, you know, that because of everything that we're doing to the planet, that it's man-made. So I think that's one of the big differences.
I wanted to ask Gareth, what is the temperature at the moment in
I just
place?
looked on my phone. Actually, it's -4 right now, which is pretty normal for this time of year. In fact, it would be normal if it was -20 as well, because it can vary usually between 0 and -20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, my wife is Russian, so I'm very much aware about the temperature in Russia, and they also measured this year -60 degrees.
Oh.
I wanted to, yes, it's unbelievable.
Ouch.
Normally it goes down to 50, maximum 40 and 50, but they measured 60 degrees. And I don't know in Fahrenheit.
I can't even wrap my head around that number. That is just crazy. I mean, it's snowing here. I'm in New York, and it's snowing here. We just got dumped on with a huge storm and it just stayed. Like the storm just stayed over, and we had a huge dumping of snow. We got like maybe like 2/3 of a meter, dumped like overnight. Poof. And now we have another storm, here again, that we should, maybe 1/3 of a meter this time and not 2/3. So yeah, we're getting snow. But is that normal, like to have that level of temperature where you are?
It's much lower than the normal temperature. And last year in the summer, I took a picture of my car. How do you say a car? Where you have the instruments, and it was 44 degrees, which is 109.4 Fahrenheit plus in the month of July.
Oh, in July. So, okay.
July. Yes, in the summer.
I was like, now? Wow.
Which is a lot of here. It's not the desert. We are not in the desert. This is Rome. We have maximum 36, but 43. It's anomalous. Very, very unusual.
So we're just starting to see differences all over the planet, and I just think that's wow. Wow. How about some events happening? Let me start with, I have to talk about the National Health Association. And if anybody doesn't know about it, National Health Association, healthscience.org, they have been promoting a whole food plant-based lifestyle since 1948. And not just whole food plant-based, but whole food plant-based SOS, salt, oil, sugar-free, since 1948. So they have an amazing conference coming up in June that I don't think I will ever miss. The conference is just, to me, exquisite. and it goes on. It's usually like 2.5 days, but people come in early in anticipation, and so they always have extra activities and events, and it's just like connecting with your tribe. And the food, oh my God, the food. I know I don't have to ask questions, that the food is just going to be amazing. And this presenters, it's cutting edge, whole food, plant-based research, cutting edge. So I'm excited about that. But
so Jeanne, is that going to take place physically this year?
At this point, it is still on. It is still on for this year. And if it is, I'm going. I'm not getting on an airplane. I will drive. And it's quite a long drive for me, but I don't care, because I'm not a big fan of getting on an airplane right about now. Just saying. Okay. So Massimo, what's going on over on your corner?
Okay, here most of the events are standing by. Of course, they are waiting to know if it's possible to open. We are going to know in a couple of months, not earlier, because the vaccination is taking place, and everybody is waiting that it goes spread up a little bit more. But in any case, all these events have gone online, and I can suggest you, if you speak Italian, to join a very, very important event organized here in Italy from the Science Organization of Nutrition, which is called, how do you say in English? Let me remember. Società Scientifica di Nutrizione Vegetariana. I can maybe spell SSNV. Okay, if you just digit SSNV, you will land on the website of the Italian Vegetarian Nutrition Association, and you will find this event, which is very, very good, because it put all together the most important nutritionist, vegetarian and vegan nutritionist in Italy. Then I could suggest you to go, because it's still on, to Berlin. There is the VegMed. VegMed is very nice. I've been there 3 times, 2 times in Berlin and 1 time in London. It's probably the biggest rendezvous, the biggest meeting in Europe about nutrition and nutritionists and scientists specialized in vegetarian or vegan nutrition. When I say vegetarian, I include vegetarians and vegans, because in Italian, vegetarian diet comprehend all of them.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yes. And that's quite a lot in Europe going on about this. Two events, very important.
Excellent. Well, Gareth, I know nothing's happening on your side, but there was an event that we talked about last time.
Yep.
That you were going out to the pub with your mates. So,
and I was not looking forward to that, because, normally, I don't know if you're the same, maybe you are. Normally, when I go out to eat, and I know I'm going to eat, I always eat before I go out, because it's way less tempting, for one thing, and I just know I'm gonna have some crap put in front of me, that they think is vegan, or they say is vegan, and I was not looking forward to this night, because I don't drink either. So these guys, would be taking the beers down, and I would be on the the non-alcoholic, maybe one beer, and then. I wanted to meet the guys anyway. 2 days before, they shut down the pubs. So we couldn't go anyway. Yeah. So I was saved at the last minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got nothing to report on that. No, I'm looking forward to meeting the guys, because, it's a pretty out there area to live, coming from the UK. And I didn't even know the name of this place. I didn't know it existed before I met my wife-to-be. So, and then I thought, okay, it's in Norway, and I realized there was 2 flights. So I thought it was a major flight from Heathrow to Oslo, and then maybe a 20-minute 6-seater plane, little fly out somewhere. But it's actually, when I looked, it's almost closer to London. Oslo is almost closer to London than it is to Tromsø, because it's such a long country. So I had
Brilliant.
another almost 2-hour flight north once I got to Oslo. So yeah, interesting place up here. But no, I'll have to report on it next time, maybe next Christmas even.
Okay.
Maybe I can put off the summer barbecue, you know?
There we go. And just by the way, Massimo, I went and looked and typed in SSNV. Perhaps it'll come up on your side, but let me tell you what comes up on my side. The Social Security Number Verification Service.
Oh, because you're in the States.
I've got the Nutrizioni Vegetariana Informazioni sulla Sana Alimentazione.
That's it. That's it.
All right.
Società. It's Società Scientifica di Nutrizione Vegetariana.
All
And
right.
that's an amazing website where you can find a lot of information, and all the Italian nutritionists and scientists are on that website. So if you're looking for some Italian specialists for writing books or interviews, whatever, you will find them.
And
That's exciting.
Or you just go on my website and you will find all of them as well, because I interviewed all of them.
And translated, Jeanne, that is the Scientific Society of Vegetarian Nutrition.
All right. Well,
There you
thank you. Diving into it, I mean, and I know, like, I looked on your site and you have a lot of stuff in English too. So for anybody on this side of the pond, don't think just because, oh my God, he's in Italy, it's going to be all in Italian. There's a lot of stuff that's in English already. And one of the nice features that I have seen, because I'm getting ready to start and launch plantbasedlatino.net, and with the site's already there, but we're going to start a program to help people in Espanol. One of the nice things I've noticed about Google is that they offer you to have the translation, in either English or whatever the language is that you're looking at. So that was a nice feature. When I went onto your website, they offered it in English or Italian, and I went for the English. So while I can probably read and figure it out, it's kind of better to go for the native language. So, but a lot of good stuff on your website. So well done to you, as Gareth would say. Well done, mate. So let's talk about diseases. And I don't know if many people know, because I don't know if I've talked about this or not, but my husband was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And when he was first diagnosed, it was on a Friday, and the doctor immediately whipped out the prescription pad and wrote him a prescription for drugs. And my husband is not a drug kind of person. He doesn't like taking them. And, just even trying to get him to do some vitamins is kind of a big deal. So he wasn't really, he was hesitant about going to fill this medication. First of all, here on this side of the pond, it was going to cost about $60,000 out of pocket for, the insurance didn't cover only parts of it. So it would have cost about $60,000 a year.
Oh.
So that was number one. Number two, so he didn't fill the prescription right away. He was, first of all, getting the diagnosis and just receiving that information. It was just really overwhelming. So the next phase on Monday, okay, he was diagnosed on Friday. Monday, the drug that he was prescribed was taken off the market because it was killing people. So... And then when you start to look at the medications for MS, most of the medications don't have that great of an impact. It might help in terms of some of the symptoms a little bit, but we're talking a very small amount, for what you're taking and what you're getting and absorbing. So then if you go on to the MS website here on this side, it talks about living with the disease, how to live with it. Well, we didn't want to live with it. So I started looking at, Dr. John McDougall. He was really big on MS and had a lot of information from Dr. Roy Swank, who was already doing this with food back in like the 30s, 40s. I don't know how far into it, but something like over 3,000 patients that he had treated with food that had reversed MS. So we're in. And so when I went plant-based, and my husband had no choice because I was cooking and giving him food and saying, here, honey, eat this. And so he was on board because he, either that or he starves. So, he went plant-based, and He has had no, we've never gone back and had another diagnosis. We've never had like another MRI to see, we don't have any symptoms. And so I'm not going to subject him to an MRI just to see if, we don't have any more plaques or they're not growing or whatever. So, but he has no symptoms, and he is 63 years old, and he is like by far the oldest in the company where he works right now. Most of the people that he works with are in their 30s and constantly are getting sick. He hasn't had a sick day and I can't remember how long, like years and years in this company. So he is always there. He's always working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, where he works right now, and has no symptoms. So I just want to say, MS, totally, it's a foodborne disease, no question. So you can reverse it. So.
Well, how much has the diet really changed? I mean, what really has changed in the diet, your husband? And what do you think? What do you think is the part that was causing the damage?
Well, a couple of things. One is how he was raised, and he was raised eating primarily animal products, and drinking a lot of milk, or consuming a lot of meat. Primarily meat on his plate, and not very many vegetables, because his mother didn't know how to cook very well. And she would like boil, the vegetables and just make them awful. And then you would have a piece of meat as a center. So, he didn't like what his mother cooked, but growing up, his mother like, you will eat this, otherwise you're not leaving the table, kind of thing. That, and the other thing, when we first got married, we somehow got onto the topic of mercury. And I had a very progressive chemistry teacher who said, if you have those amalgams in your mouth that have mercury, get them out as soon as you can. So as soon as I graduated and I actually had some money in my pocket, I went and had them all removed right then and there. But my husband didn't. And I think, and as soon as we got married, and he's like, well, how do I know if I still have the amalgams? And I'm like, open your mouth. And he had 9. And I said, oh gosh. I mean, like I was immediately on the phone with the dentist saying, we're scheduling these out. And it took 3 months of appointments to go through. We did 3 at a time, and to get them out, because they have this whole protocol, because the mercury is so toxic, as you're removing them. So there's this whole protocol, but he removed those. So I don't know if it was the mercury, the combination of the food, or both that were having an impact on his system.
Possible. It is possible.
Yeah. How about you, Gareth?
Well, I just wanted to give a short background on a very similar thing, which is my own disease, which it no doubt would have got worse. And I was really, really fortunate. 2 things I suffered with as a youngster, and was my feet and the skin's getting so dry and cracking all the time. And I suffered with this and went to doctors numerous times, and then regularly going to the doctors 2-3 times a year with blocked sinuses. And the doc getting penicillin, courses of penicillin 2-3 times a year, right up until I was 27. And when I was 27 and my football career had finished because of injury, and I was going to an osteopath who was also a vegan, and took things pretty seriously, in fact very seriously. And I told him where I'd been, because he said, oh, you're blocked up to date. And I said, yeah, I just been to the doctor, I got another course of penicillin. He said, well, why are you eating cheese and drinking milk? And I went, why? Is that the cause? And he said, well, there's a good chance. So I said, okay, gone. Never again since, for the last 34 years. And so I listened to this guy, and then I saw that he wasn't eating any meat as well. And I don't think at that point that would have made much difference to me. But certainly by now, by the time I'm 61, if I'd have carried on eating meat, I'm so glad I met that guy when I was 27, because over the next 3-4 years, I pretty much, since I've been 30, I've been 100% vegan, and then got better and better as I met John McDougall and studied under him and a few of the other doctors. So I just want to let people know that even though you can't see it, the disease does not start the day you find out you got it. It starts way back when, and in most cases. And the diet, it's the food, in most cases, in my belief. So I just wanted to remind people about that. I also wanted to be really quick because, as I said, I got a few questions here for Massimo, hopefully sometime during this interview. Yeah.
Well, Massimo, how about you? Did you have any revelations? What was your...
Yes. When I left France many years ago and I decided to come to Italy, it was because I had a kind of a burnout from my job. I couldn't work anymore. And some doctors said it's depression, it's called depression, what you have. So I went back to Italy. I was overweight and I was I was walking very slowly. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't know what to do actually of my life. So a very, very bad moment. Although I had a very nice job in Paris. So I was very, I wanted to go back, but my body wasn't responding correctly. So I decided to go through a 15 days detox period in the mountains with a nutritionist. I didn't know anything about vegetarianism or veganism. But when I went there, I discovered that they were treating people by giving plant-based food. Actually, it was the first week only fruits, only one kind of fruit. Yeah, I remember it was a peach because it was in the summer and we had very nice peaches. So we were supposed to walk a lot, to make a meditation, to make a yoga, a lot of stuff during the day and eating only a few peaches. So you can imagine how hard it was. And then starting from the second week, they were giving us more vegetables, grains, but little by little. Until the end of the 15 days, we were actually eating a lot, but only vegetables. And the nice thing, the interesting thing, that they were doing some tests of strength and flexibility at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. And you could see yourself the amazing changement of the body. Just looking at the mirror, watching yourself in the mirror, you could see an amazing changement. But what was interesting for me, it was the strength. And the flexibility as well, because I was thinking, okay, it's normal that you lose weight because you eat less, you don't eat fat things. So you could imagine that this process is normal to that you have a better result. But why you are more strong? Why you're stronger? Why you stronger? You eat less. You eat less what you consider energetic food like meat and cheese, and then you go to push-ups and you make more than the beginning. So this was very interesting for me. And when I went out of these 15 days, I questioned myself, why this? And that's what was the beginning of Veggie Channel. Because my work was before was to make videos. I'm a filmmaker, so I started to go around Italy with my little camera, and just to interview people, to record what they were telling about nutrition, about where I'm going to get the proteins, am I going to have problems with vitamins or whatever. So I was going back home and listen and listen what they were telling to me. And then my wife said, if you find this information interesting for you, why don't you share them on YouTube? YouTube, what is YouTube? I didn't know anything about YouTube. So we opened this channel and we started putting videos, and then became a passion. Since we started in 2008 up to today, we produce more than 1,300 videos in several languages. Many of them in English, in Russian, in French, because I speak French, in German, because I understand a little bit German. Or we were translating videos from other language with the help of friends. So nowadays in Italy, our database is for sure the biggest database, scientific oriented that we can have in Italy. So about veganism, I continue to follow this diet, just checking with if I was going to do something correct or not correct. And then little by little, I discovered also all the other aspects of going vegan. The ethical aspects, I discovered that animals were sensible. Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't consider that enough. And so a completely new world opened up in front of me. And I forgot about Paris, I forgot about satellites, about everything else. And I just concentrated me to try to make the best information I was possible to make in Italy, to inform as many people as I could about my discovery.
I know, Gareth, you've got like questions. Go in.
I got some questions. Is that okay? Okay. Well, you've sort of said you've answered one of them. What drove you to tell others about it because of the effect it had on you. I wanted to ask you a couple of things about sport. You know, why diving? You said you started when you were 49. You didn't have an interest at all before that. So.
Yes and no, because I was doing nothing. I was concentrating in making films, videos, and so on. And all of a sudden, my viewers, if I could say this, started to ask me, "Okay, you showing us how to eat correctly, but are you behaving correctly in your life? Do you have a nice lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle at 360 degrees?" Mm-hmm. I watched myself. I said, "No, actually, I'm sitting in front of a computer all day." Sure. Let's start a new adventure. Let's try to go back and do some sports. So I had a dream because when I was 11, I was very young. I wanted to make diving, and my mother brought me in the diving classes. I used to live in Milan. And so I made a kind of 1 year of training, and I started diving a little bit, just a little bit. And while I was trying to make a reverse jump from a 1 meter springboard, I made a mistake and I crashed on the board with my teeth, and I broke my front teeth and the lips. So I went down into the water, and a lot of blood all around, and you can imagine like the film The Shark, blood everywhere. So I was in a shock. The accident was not actually terrible. It was a little accident, but after a couple of weeks, everything was okay. But the shock was amazing. So I couldn't come back into the swimming pool anymore, especially on the diving board. I couldn't see, I couldn't touch it.
I don't know how you could go back to it even at 49. I'd still, like, every time like I got up on that board, I'd be like going, okay, is this another repeat of what happened then?
Yeah, the challenge was try to do something I dreamt for all my life, and I was considering impossible. So I tried I was very shy to go back in the swimming pool, and I asked if there were any classes for adults. I was nearly 50. And I found that there are a lot of people old, like me, training nearly every day, championships, small championships, big championships. So I discovered this world of, after being young, you have another world, the world of master. They call master. Yeah. So I discovered there is also the world championships of master in diving. So springboard from 1 meter, 3 meters, 3 meter synchro. A platform, you can choose 5, 7 meters or 10 meters, and platform synchro. So you have 5 specialties. So if you want, you can make 5 competition in each context. So I started competing at 50, and in the 2015, I was 50, I don't remember, 5, let's say. And I went to my second world championships. It was in Kazan. And in Kazan, I took 5 medals, 3 silver and 2 gold. So I'm very, very happy about that.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I got another question, which again is on the sport. You mentioned in one of the videos I watched about the visualization training, the mental training that
Absolutely.
Where did you, I mean, I get that, but where did you learn about it? Where did you first come across that as a concept?
Well, it was putting together little bits all along my life, and because I try to understand in my life when I ever got good results. And I remembered one day I won a competition in another sports many years before, and this competition I was able to win because I was living alone in my flat. I was in Germany. I decided to put all around my apartment many pieces of paper with written text like I will win this competition, I'm the best, I will defeat everybody, stuff, even in the bathroom. So for a few months, I was walking up and walking around my flat and coming back from work, and I was inside this visualization. I didn't know it was visualization.
Yeah.
So I understood that visualization is something that can help very much. And it's nothing different than focusing, when you say in English, focusing, but how to stay focused on your target is the most difficult thing, especially if you work, if you have kids, if you have problems, and so and so and so. So the question is how to stay focused on your target. I would say first problem is to decide what is your target. Second is to stay focused. If you know how to do these two things, you will get it for sure.
Okay. Final one. Have I got time for another question, please, Jeanne?
Of course.
And that's another, somewhere in the information I watched, you talk about vegan supplements. And I wanted to know what you yourself take and your opinion on supplements, and obviously vegan ones as well. Yeah.
Yes, of course. You know, as I make these videos with scientists, I follow what the science says, especially because I had the possibility to check myself the blood values. I checked everything. So I'm sure at the beginning I was not sure 100%, but now after many years of interviewing science all over the world, I know that everybody agrees on the fact that the vegans must integrate vitamin B12.
Yep.
Basically, that's the thing that every vegan should know and should integrate. They just have to know the amount to take may vary depending on the status, the partial status. But when I became vegan, I checked my blood, and after a few years, my blood levels of vitamin B12 were like this. So I started to take sublingual pills.
Yeah.
But also, I recommend non-vegan people to check their levels of this vitamin, because this deficiency may be found also in non-vegan people.
Okay.
Then the second integration I would advise to make, if people are not exposed to sun enough during the year, they have to check their levels of vitamin D. And if the level is not good enough, they have to integrate that one as well. And this is valid for everybody, not only for vegan people. And
especially in a place where we don't see the sunshine for 3 months.
And I want to show you something. I'm just testing these days this. I think it might be interesting. I decided to, well, in Italy, it's not a problem having enough sun, especially in the summer. You can get a lot. But if you have winter, too dark winter, you can buy one light like this. Not that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
No, I switched off. No. Okay, it's not very expensive. You can you put near the computer, for example, and if you expose yourself for half an hour a day, I think, I'm not sure, but I read some studies about this, that you can have winter. You can avoid winter depression. I don't know in English how to say. You can compensate the lack of sun just with a little lamp near your computer.
Okay. But does that generate the vitamin D? Does that stimulate that in your body to?
Yes, if you watch the lamp, it's a special lamp. You have
Right.
to buy a special lamp built for this, for light therapy. You can find on internet. Yes, the fact is it stops production of melatonin. So it says to the body, this is the day, okay? So you're not going to produce melatonin during the day. And when it's time to go to sleep, you go to sleep, you switch off all the lights, and the melatonin is being created. So you regulate your hormone system, and this is very good for your health, very important to tell to your body when is the day and when is the night.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think this is what I think.
So do you think there would be an opposite effect in the summer here, for instance, because it's 24-hour sunshine here?
I wanted to ask you, how do you control this circadian
rhythm? Yeah.
Yes. How do you make in your country?
I don't seem to have a problem. I'm not looking for a problem, but I know a lot of people. You know, I know I had a pretty good idea of what you just said then, and there are people who use sun lamps here, and I don't have a problem sleeping, but we do have blackout blinds. So we can drop the blinds and the curtains, and the room is completely dark when we go to bed.
But how many years have you been staying in this?
6 years now.
Because I'm not sure. I haven't done any studies on this. Yeah. But you know, I've been working in night shifts when I was working as a satellite controller, and I used to work many times in the night for many years, and I think that is the cause of my depression.
Yeah,
because I couldn't recognize anymore when it was the day and when it was night. I was going to sleep and I wasn't sleeping, and then in the day maybe I was asleep. So my body was completely upside down, and probably is the cause of my depression.
Well, fortunately, Massimo, I seem to be able to stick to fairly regular sleep patterns. But I know that you're absolutely right, and many people find that difficult here. I'm
just wondering if it's a question of time, because I started having problems after more than 10 years of night shifts.
Okay.
So I would advise you to be careful and maybe go on vacation where you can get a nice sun during the winter.
My wife is very happy with that, that's for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Be careful, Massimo. You might have some guests coming soon to your house.
Well, you know, even today, Jeanne, I mean, because it's light for maybe 6 hours a day here now, but I'm 90 minutes every day out skiing, and it's the exposure to the light rather than to direct sunlight, I believe, is helps. Yeah.
Well, let's talk movies. Latest movie that I've been watching, and you know, I made my husband watch it a couple of times. It's called Blue, and you know, Saray Stancic, she was diagnosed with MS. She was a doctor. She was working, you know, going through her residency, and all of a sudden she got nailed, and her journey and the whole piece through it is really profound, and how she herself has reversed MS through diet. So how about you guys? Gareth, what movies have you seen?
To be honest, Jeanne, I'm pretty disappointed that you've been watching a Blue movie.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Do you know, I can't think of one that I've been watching recently, apart from probably for the fifth or sixth time is Game Changers. And it's not because I need to catch up on the detail, because it's quite light on detail in it, but it's whenever I get a chance, whenever someone visits, then and I end up talking to them about food, I'll say, oh, you got time? There's a decent movie, let's sit down and watch it. And then I sit through it again and watch it with them. So but there's so much stuff, and I'm really happy to discover Massimo's videos and his website, because I can do that. I have many more choices for people, because sometimes people don't have an hour and a half. If they got 15 minutes, I'll find some really good stuff, I'm sure, on his site, when I can say, you got 15 minutes? Okay, let's sit down and watch this. Yeah.
You just have to tell me what you want to tell to your friends, and I will find a video in English for you.
Okay, great. I appreciate that, Massimo. people who promote alternative diets. How do you go about addressing that or handling it? Do you ignore it? Well, I'm sure you don't ignore it, but you know,
Like
when
keto or
someone's talking
paleo?
about, like, yeah, exactly.
Like what? Sorry.
Like a paleo diet or
Okay.
a keto diet, for instance. Keto is probably more popular here right now than at any time.
Mhm. So what the question is, what I do when people tell me about this alternative diets?
Or how would you educate someone who thinks in that way?
Okay, I think that from a communication point of view, it's never useful to tell somebody this is wrong,
Sure.
you're mistaking. So I just try to avoid speaking about what I consider a mistake. And I just tell him a few simple concepts based on science. And that's it. Then the person is able to understand it, and he will understand himself.
Yeah, and make
I
their own
just never
choice. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Jeanne. Yeah.
I've just never had any success arguing with these people because like they just like their mindset is like woof, and they're focused on this and it's like wow, you know, and they're like yeah, but I'm losing weight and I'm feeling better, and it's like yeah, because you're eating less processed foods, but you're still, I mean, if they look at the long-term results of, you know, eating these diets, it's huge, it's really profound. So
Yeah, I remember from one of our health changes interviews, and Frank Sabatino said, what you've just said, really, Massimo, is that all you can do is be a good example and lay it out there, and people choose their own way, you know, and it's so unfortunate because, you know, we believe we know the future of someone who's eating unhealthily today. They are going to be sick tomorrow or at some stage in the future. But if they can't see it, they can't see it. I was just looking for maybe Massimo discovered some magic bullet, but yeah.
Well, you say in English, lead by example. I think
Yeah.
it the right way. But you know, I have an interesting thing to tell you because I asked the same question a few years ago to a very famous professor of nutrition in Germany, Dr. Professor Klaus Leitzmann. You may know him because he's I call him a dinosaur of vegetarianism. He's
Okay.
now nearly 90 years old and he's very fresh, very dynamic. I love this guy. So he's been teaching at the university, he's been directing a few hospitals, so you can understand and I asked him, Klaus, please, what could I tell people when I want to get them into the vegan diet? And he said, Massimo, after many years of experience, I can tell you for sure that the best thing you can do is to invite them to dinner, to prepare a very nice vegan dinner, but a bit salty because these people is used to eat very salty, but plant-based. And if when they get up at the end of the dinner, they ask you a recipe, you have done vegan.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I love that tip of putting a little bit of salt in the food, because we put it on the table and say and explain, you can add some salt to this if you want, because we don't add it to our food. But maybe that's an even better way to actually put it in.
I call it
Yeah.
dinner in a movie. And so what I do is I make a great dinner and then we watch a movie like Forks Over Knives or The Game Changers, especially if there's a guy involved. Game Changers, like, wow. So have you seen that, Massimo, The Game Changers?
Yes, absolutely. I love them. But I wanted to ask you a question concerning cultured meat. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this new kind of meat coming up?
Well, I think that all man-made foods, call them foods, you know, whether it's meat or whether it's replacement meat, you know, I think they're really good as a step in the right direction, but a temporary step. And if they can be used to encourage people to come off a meat diet, I think they're good, but they should be seen as a couple of stepping stones on the way to when they don't need any stepping stones anymore. Because I think we don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. And I'm sure, I don't have in-depth knowledge on this, but I'm sure there's some negative environmental factors going to come in, as well as the positive ones, which will be shouted about initially.
I have to agree. Transition steps. I mean, it's great that the animals aren't being killed. Thumbs up for that. I like that part of it, but they're not healthy. They're not health choices. There's a lot of, I know like over in England, there's a lot of these new vegan products that are coming onto the market. And yes, there's no animals being killed involved, and that's great. I'm happy about that. But there's a phenomenal amount of salt, oil, and sugar being added to these products, and they're not healthy. So in the beginning, it's a nice thing to have this transition so that you can recognize things that you used to like or eat, like, the Beyond Meat, kind of things that you can actually make a hamburger look like a hamburger. Okay, great. But I think what Gareth said, that they're stepping stones, they're transitions. So as you start to get and feel better, you realize when you start to put something like that into your body that it doesn't make your body feel good. So
having said that, I haven't seen, you say it's a very important documentary in Canada.
Absolutely. I wanted to, yes, you came to the point. I wanted to suggest you absolutely to watch this documentary, which is Meat the Future, meat like flesh, Meat the Future, because it changed my consideration of the spreading of the veganism in the world. Because before watching this movie, I was thinking, okay, let's try to push as much as we can the veganism in the world, because this is going to save the world. But actually, this movie shows the curve of veganism in the world, and shows you that it's going up very quickly, very fast, but only in certain countries, like in California, in Italy, in Germany, and this is not going to be enough to save the world, because all India and Russia and Africa are going to increase their consumption of meat. So while we become all vegans in some part of Europe and the United States, in the rest of the world, they are going to eat more and more meat. So the demand of meat in the world is going to is increasing a lot in this moment.
Wow.
So how to cope with this increase? And in the United States, but in other places of the world, they are starting to produce meat in the laboratory, which is not completely animal-free, because they need to have some animals, small in smaller places, but animals, and they take the blood from the animals and they reproduce meat in the laboratory. And this kind of meat is ready to go on the market. They are just trying to reduce the price. And I'm trying to understand if this is good or not, because I'm not able to understand how is going to be the impact in terms of pollution of this new kind of industry, because we don't know what they will do exactly. But in theory, if we replace the animal agriculture, instead of killing millions of animals every year, and we produce cells, stem cells in the laboratory, and we give them to the countries that are demanding at the moment more and more meat, we probably will be able to stop animal agriculture. We will be able to stop killing of millions of animals, probably. So, but the question is that we don't have any other way to follow. There's nothing else. That we have vegetable meat and cultured meat, but you know that Bill Gates and other millionaires are investing in cultured meat, not in vegetable meat.
Yeah.
And this is something we should know because it's going very fast. There are at least 15 startups that are not startup anymore because they have big foundings like Bill Gates and others that are producing this culture meat, and it's going to be on the market very, very soon. I interviewed Mark Post in Germany a few years ago. Mark Post is one of the inventors of this system to produce meat, any kind of meat in the laboratory, from pig meat, chicken meat, cow meat. And he said, we are going to see this on the market within 8 years, he said. And it was something like 4 or 5 years ago. So I suppose that in 3, 4, 5 years, we are going not to buy any more true meat, but cultured meat in the supermarket.
Wow.
Well, that's really, really interesting. You know, one side of me thinks, who knows what issues that is going to bring, health-wise, you know. Other side of me is, what, it can't be worse than the situation right now. So, yeah, there we go.
Well, gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure. Massimo, thank you for joining us today across the pond. And God, your story is amazing. So especially after having that diving accident when you were a kid and now going back to this, wow, you faced your fears and overcame them without question, and you're doing amazing. So keep up the great job over in Italy, because wow, you're changing it. Gareth, as always,
Awesome.
so lovely to connect.
Yes, lovely. Thanks, Jeanne. And the same to you. And really, really enjoyed meeting you today, Massimo. Hopefully it won't be the last time. Yeah.
It was a pleasure, and I hope to receive you as a guest in Rome whenever it will be possible.